Hey guys, it's Mr. Schmidt here, and in this video we're going to continue talking about game theory and payoff matrices by looking at dominant strategies. So I would say this is probably the hardest part of this unit and kind of the thing where if once you learn how to do this, the rest of the unit kind of falls into place and you're fine. So this video may be one you want to watch a couple of times. So what is a dominant strategy? It's a strategy always chosen by a player regardless of what the other player does. Okay, so it doesn't matter what the other player's doing, you're doing the same thing every single time. Okay, and so the trick is, how can we find a player's dominant strategy if they have one? Because remember, because you need to know, a player does not have to have a dominant strategy, right? They could have one, they could not have one. So let's figure it out and see if these two players do. So we're going to bring back in Jackpot and Boulevard from the last video, same payoff matrix as before. And so we're going to just do one player at a time, and we're going to figure out if they have a dominant strategy. So how do I do this? Well, first of all, let's pick which player we want to figure out if they have a dominant strategy for. So we're going to go ahead and do Jackpot first. Okay, so we're looking at Jackpot. Does Jackpot have a dominant strategy? The way to figure this out is actually by looking at, okay, if the other player does X, what am I going to do in response as Jackpot? If Boulevard delivers, what am I going to do? If Boulevard doesn't deliver, what am I going to do? Okay, so let's look at these in turn, and if you're following along my chart, it'll help too. So first of all, I'm going to say, okay, I'm Jackpot. So let's say, because remember, based on mutual interdependence, I'm going to respond to what the other player does, right? So if Boulevard, let's say Boulevard delivers, what am I going to do? Am I going to close at 6? Or am I going to close at 9? Well, let's look at this. Well, if Boulevard delivers, okay, and I as Jackpot close at 6, remember Jackpot's payoffs are the first in the ordered pair. If Boulevard delivers and I close at 6, I get $35. If Boulevard decides to deliver and I close at 9 p.m., I would get $25. So what would you rather have? Would you rather have $35 or $25 if you are Jackpot? Well, you'd rather have $35. So that means Jackpot would want to close at 6 p.m. And sometimes in a question, they'll have you explain your reasoning using numbers in the chart. And this is how I would explain. I would just say, okay, 35 is bigger than 25, right? So if Boulevard delivers, you should close at 6 p.m. And so what I want you to do is, once you have figured out what they will do in that situation, circle what they are going to get. So in this case, Jackpot's going to get $35, and I'm going to circle that. For this video, that's not going to matter, but for the next video, you're going to be thankful you did this, okay? So you just got to trust me on that. So I'm going to get rid of this dashed line there. So now let's look at the other case. Well, because we don't know what Jackpot's going to do if Boulevard doesn't deliver, right? So let's look at that scenario. So if Boulevard doesn't deliver, what should I do? Well, let's look at what would happen. If Boulevard does not deliver and Jackpot decides to close at 6 p.m., Jackpot, which is the player we're looking at, would get $55. If Boulevard decides not to deliver, and in response, Jackpot, or at the same time, Jackpot decides to close at 9 p.m., Jackpot would get $45. Remember, they're making these decisions simultaneously. So, which would you rather have, $55 or $45? Well, I would rather have $55, and so I'm going to circle what I'm going to get. I'll go ahead and erase the other line here. And so what is Jackpot going to do in this situation? Well, they're going to close at 6 p.m. So sorry, I kind of erased. There we go. So does Jackpot have a dominant strategy? And the answer is yes. Well, how do I know? It's because Jackpot is doing the same thing regardless of what Boulevard does. Regardless if Boulevard delivers or doesn't deliver, Jackpot, I apologize because you're probably going to hear the bell a second time later in the video, so I apologize for that. But regardless of what Boulevard does, Jackpot is going to choose to close at 6 p.m. in both cases. And so because they're doing the same thing every time, that is their dominant strategy. So in that box, does Jackpot have a dominant strategy? I would put yes, and I'm going to put close at 6 p.m. just so I state what strategy that is. So that would be the case for Jackpot. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at Boulevard. Okay, so I'm sorry if there's a tiny bit of a gap there. I wanted to actually pause and wait till our bells finish ringing so that you wouldn't be disrupted by that. So all the bells have finished ringing for a good another hour and a half, so we should be good here. Okay, so I want you to keep the 2 circles in the boxes because we'll come back to that in the next video and you'll see why we did that. And we're actually going to add to them here. So what we're going to do now is say, okay, we're going to switch it up and say, all right, now I'm Boulevard. What am I going to do? Does Boulevard have a dominant strategy? And the way to figure this out is to ask ourselves, how would Boulevard respond to what Jackpot is doing? So I'm going to use red here for Jackpot, and we're going to say, okay, let's say Jackpot, and I'm just going to put 6 p.m. I'm going to kind of shorten this here. So if Jackpot's closing at 6 p.m. and you're Boulevard, what should you do? And I think the challenging part for students is just being able to read the chart. And so what I like to do is kind of narrate it out loud as I'm doing it, because I think that makes it a little bit easier. So it's something you might try yourself when you're doing some of these as practice. So if Jackpot closes at 6, I either get $30 if I offer delivery or $20 if I do not offer delivery. So what should I do? Well, 30 is better than 20. So I should offer delivery. So I'm going to circle what I would get. I'm going to get $30, and I'll go ahead and list it down here. So Boulevard delivers. And then I can put in parentheses here, why is that the case? Because $30 is bigger than 20. Okay? And sorry again about it. There we go. Now, if Jackpot closes at 9 p.m., 9 p.m., what should Boulevard do? Well, if Jackpot closes at 9 p.m., I either get $50 if I offer delivery or $40 if I don't offer delivery. Well, what would I rather have, 50 or 40? I'd rather have 50. So I'm going to circle 50, go ahead and erase that little line there, and then go ahead and list it out. So Boulevard is going to deliver. And that's because $50 is greater than $40. And so does Boulevard have a dominant strategy? And the answer is yes. How do we know? Because Boulevard's doing the same thing every time, no matter what Jackpot does. And so yes, they have a dominant strategy, and it is to deliver. So that's how you go through and find dominant strategies. It's something that I think the more you practice with it, the easier it will get. So I do think, especially at the beginning, doing this down here, this step of writing it out, if this person does this, this person will do this, I think makes a lot more sense. And then as you get better at it, you won't need that crutch anymore. One thing I would try not to do is try to memorize patterns in the boxes with how you look at it. I don't think that's very helpful. I think doing what I did here at the bottom and doing it multiple times is a much better option. So that's all for this video on dominant strategies. Until next time, have a great day.